Welcome to the program.
Yes,
How are you?
thanks. I am so happy to talk to you. I have anxiety that seems to have stemmed from a car accident that happened a year and a half ago. I was rear-ended and I sustained injuries that were neck, back, shoulder, hip, and went through therapy for all that. It was muscles and torn, some things inside were torn, but it wasn't anything that stopped me from, I didn't break anything. I didn't go in the hospital. It was just a lot of pain and
Hey, soft tissue pain can be awful.
Yes. Yes.
Terrible.
So, but during that time after the accident, I started to feel differently when I was driving. I was pounding on my brakes when I had to stop so the person behind me could see the lights. I would be afraid to go over bridges. I was afraid to go in the rain and the dark. And it was like, who is this in me? I'm not ever like this. And that continued. I didn't stop driving. I kept saying, you're going to get over this. That's ridiculous.
Good for you.
But then,
hang on. You were doing good.
nausea.
I was complimenting you there for a second until you
Well,
said
thank you.
until you said this is ridiculous. It's not ridiculous at all. It's unavoidable brain science. It makes 100% sense, and I can tell you why in a minute. But you did do the right thing in not letting it stop you, because that's one of the big parts of retraining your brain is to continue to drive. So anyway, go ahead. Just stop saying it was ridiculous.
Well, thank you. I am continuing to research and read. I have Caroline Leaf's book, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess.
Yeah.
I am listening to you. I'm a lifetime member to you. You've helped me in so much of my life in the past 20 years. Thank you for everything you've done. I don't have time to tell you the things you've helped me through. But
well, I'm glad it's been
my
helpful.
problem is that I don't like antidepressants. I don't want mood altering drugs. I want to get through this and let my mind take the course to get healthy again. Because right now I have nausea every morning. I have trouble sleeping. I wake up at 5:30 with hot sweats in the morning, and then I can't get back to sleep. I have
and are you thinking about driving the whole time when this is happening?
No, there are other things that are now in my mind. It's the pessimistic side of every aspect of my life comes into my mind while I'm trying to rest.
And that pessimistic about what? What would be some of the topics?
Just things like my son's dog bit my grandchild. I feel bad for the dog. I want him to get rid of the dog. I'm all upset about the dog. I love the dog. I love the grandchild. My son's asking me what to do. It's like amplified in my brain. I'm going through dreams of taking, I want to take the dog. I want to train the dog. I want to help the child. It's overthinking everything.
Yeah.
I'm now going to counseling. My primary care doctor has prescribed me with PTSD, and he's given me a counselor that I go to bi-weekly, but they want to put me on drugs. And because I have the nausea and the diarrhea, they wanted Trintellix is the latest one. And then my gastroenterologist, because I have the nausea and diarrhea, has suggested amitriptyline. And I've been to patient first because the nausea has been so bad. I had to get something, and they gave me hydroxyzine, and that seemed to help. I took that once a day for a while. And then, but I can tell you that this accident is not the only factor in my thinking, because my mother, who died last year, also had anxiety and nausea and diarrhea with it.
And she died about the same time as the accident?
Yes, 2 months apart.
Okay. So tell me, and you go to the counselor every other week, you said?
Yes. And he's helping me with cognitive therapy, how to think it through when I have these crazy thoughts, and how to,
that's good.
And reading Caroline Leaf, How to Build Neuroplasticity in Your Brain and Rethink It. And
yeah, Caroline's.
I want to know from you.
Okay.
Is it possible? Am I on the right track? I don't want medication, and I want to make it through this. I just want your vote of yes, you can.
Let me ask a question, just so I understand where you're coming from. When you say you don't want medication, are you putting like medication? Is it all the same to you? Are there different kinds that mean different things?
My mother was on Paxil, and they had to keep upping her dose, and lorazepam, and she still had the anxiety, nausea, and diarrhea. It just wouldn't go away.
Well, okay, that's one.
So I don't think it works, and I don't want to be locked into any medication, and it didn't work, and now I'm addicted.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you know, the benzos like that, they can be addicting. Okay. So, and that can, so here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to make an uninformed decision about medicine when it comes to anxiety. I don't know if you need it or not. I haven't seen you. I haven't heard the whole story. I haven't looked at your whole symptom constellation. I haven't looked at what's working or not. But you would do well to understand that all these medicines that you're talking about are not the same. Okay. So there are anti-anxiety medicines that do mind-altering things by design. Like, you know, when you're talking about Ativan and the benzos and, you know, Xanax and all that stuff, that, you know, no. Now we're talking about a whole nother world. That's my point.
Oh.
That's my point. Minor tranquilizers calm you down as soon as you take it. That's why they're addicting.
Oh.
Okay. SSRIs, which is a whole different classification of medicines, you can take one of those, you're not going to feel anything, because that's not what it does. It doesn't alter your mind. What it does is it restores some brain chemistry that might be off so that your mind works correctly. And that's the difference. See, addictive medicines, your mind is working correctly for whatever reason. You know, if you're scared, you're scared. And then that calms, it'd be like having, you know, a couple of shots of tequila or something. But SSRI is what they do.
Is that an option?
What happened? It's always an option. It's just not a good long-term option. It helps for a moment, but it gets you in trouble later.
Right.
So anyway, I want you to talk to your doctor, you know, about the difference and kind of why they want to do that. A lot of times, here's what happens. Here's the deal. When you go through something like you went through, okay, what happens is in that moment, if this is indeed PTSD, what happens is you go through an event like that, and the overabundance of stress hormones that are released kind of take that memory and in PTSD, and they'll freeze stamp it to physiologically to a part of your brain, the hippocampus, where it gets stuck and it's separated from a lot of other parts of your brain, like your thinking and time and sequencing, and your brain doesn't know that was in the past and this is now, so it can't let it go until we do certain things in therapy that get it to move down that track. All right, now the cognitive piece of this is a part of that, and I'm glad you're seeing somebody that can help you through that. You may want to talk to your counselor about a little more frequency. Okay, but that's a big part of this. The other part, though, is I would presume that if it happened concomitantly with you know, going through a major loss, a lot of times what happens is, you know, that's another big dose of being out of control of bad things happening to me, right? We can't control when we lose somebody, you can't control, you have a car accident. And so what happens is when the system begins to feel like things outside of my control are affecting me, that amps up this underlying amygdala world of fight or flight. I'm going to say something that's going to help you make sense of why you're worrying about the dog and everything else. when your fear system is amped up like that physiologically in your brain, it's overactive. So what that does is it's sending out biochemical like little charges all the time that by the very nature of those hormones that feel like dread. Something bad's going to happen. It's a dread feeling. You know that feeling?
Yes.
Yeah. So your body feels this dread, and then your mind has to make sense of that. And so it's got to think of something that explains, what am I dreading? Oh, it's because the dog's going to bite somebody again. Or it's because I'm going to have a wreck.
It's impending doom. Impending doom.
Impending doom is exactly the right word. And so your system is creating impending doom, and your brain's got to figure out, why do I feel impending doom? Well, the plane's going to go down. The stock market's going to crash. I'm going to get COVID. A million things to explain the physiological feeling. So what's got to happen is that cycle's got to be broken. And that's why you got to get into all the stuff that your therapist will help you with, and maybe some more. And there's other kinds of things that you guys can add to the picture. But this is totally, the kind of thing that we do know how to treat. I want you to listen to the anxiety webinar, but it's going to boil down to, I want to give you a few suggestions. Keep going to therapy if your therapist is good and you like them and y'all think you're on the right track. But also, you might want to add to it someplace where you can really go deep into processing both of these and talking through what happened both in the accident and with it was your mom, right? When did she die?
Yes. February of 2020.
Okay, and so processing all that. Go ahead.
The accident was in November. So November to February.
The previous November or the following November.
Right. The previous.
Yeah, that's just a lot that needs to be talked about. So I want you to continue to process it. You can write it out. You can talk. I want you to get somewhere in a group where you can just talk this stuff and get it out of your system, because right now it's amplifying the system. And then continue, if everything else works out and it's safe and reasonable and all of that, continue to, when you feel these fears, I'll give you a little way to think about this. That's just your body. And as you notice, you can't talk yourself out of it, right?
Right.
You can only talk yourself into more of it. Ever notice that? That's weird, huh?
Well,
you can start to focus on it and you worry, and then it gets worse. It amplifies.
Yes.
Spirals up. So here's the thing. In the part of the cure system of this, learn to normalize, oh, that's just my body feeling afraid. Oh, that's just those hormones. Oh, there it is again. Instead of letting that be a signal to begin to worry, what you're going to do is just accept it and get back engaged and do what you're doing and ignore it, just like noise in the background. See, I'm talking to you right now and you're focusing on me right now, right? But do you hear that noise in the background? So you can't focus on both at the same time.
Right.
So we're going to just ignore this and stay connected with whatever you're doing in the moment. Even though your body's going crazy, you're going to ignore it and keep doing what you're doing. Gradually, that's going to diminish because your brain's going to learn, oh, there's no danger here. But when we feel that, and then we start worrying, and then we go, and then we avoid stuff and all that, that reinforces it. So what your therapist is doing in cognitive therapy is giving you some ways to think that aren't reinforcing the fear, and that's probably very, very good. Okay, sorry, I got to go to some other.
You did the job. You did just what I needed you to do, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, you're very welcome.
I really
get Albie to tell you how to get that anxiety. So you've already paid for it if you're if you have that full access thing. So you can go to boundaries.me/anxiety. And got to get some other callers, but thank you so much for your call, Bonita.